Hello everyone, Jacqueline Jax here from Daylight and Daisies. With so many plants that I'm growing, obviously I have people who ask me to help them with their orchids, especially the Phalaenopsis orchids or the moth orchids. So I thought I would do a really nice little rehab video on how I save sick orchids. Now, even in my orchid collection, I've had some go really wrong for multiple reasons because it can just happen. You get busy, maybe some rot happens, stem rot. Um, it's so easy for Phalaenopsis to not dry out depending on where you put your orchid, especially if it's blooming. You might be looking at the blooms and not really focused on the care. But this is a tried and true way that I keep all of my orchids in really good shape. And I do check the roots, just as a side note, as often as possible because I like to see if any of the older roots need to be removed, and we will talk about that in just a second. So if you're having trouble with your moth orchid, then this is the video that is going to help you set things right. So there's nothing more heartbreaking, right, than pulling a Phalaenopsis orchid out of its pot and finding mushy, black, messy roots. I just recently had a friend of mine very upset because her orchid or two orchids had rotted and she didn't know what was wrong with them. I unpotted them and found them in like a mushy peat moss, which I can't believe they survived for so many years like that. But with the recent shifts in temperature, we have had a lot of root rot because there's not a lot of like warmth. And when you get a lot of cool, sometimes they don't dry out as much or as quickly as they should. So root rot and stem rot are the ultimate orchid nightmares and usually caused by overwatering or stagnant air. And that also comes along with lack of dry weather or lack of sun. So if you're watering your orchid too often and not letting it dry out, then that's going to cause this to happen. And then from that, you are going to see limp, wrinkled, sad leaves. And, they get thrown in the trash, but you don't need to, because if you want orchids to look beautiful and you want them to stay for years and years and keep reblooming, you just have to kind of pay attention and get on a good routine. And then once that happens, they're really pretty easy to care for because they don't really require a lot. They mostly just like to absorb the oxygen from the air, and that is through water. So it's not the water per se, it's mostly the absorption of water or humidity and oxygen into the roots. As you can see, this one is in bloom, as are a lot of these right now, but that's not saying that they don't have some roots that need removing, and that will always be the case because there are older roots that will not necessarily be part of the orchid structure, and then the new roots will come in, and those are the ones that you want to keep. So this is why we keep watching, right? Because if some of those older roots start to get mushy and they get like brown in there, you definitely want to take some time to unpot and take them out. Now, I don't necessarily do this when everything is in bloom, although I have. It hasn't really done anything to the blooms, although I can say with some orchids, not necessarily Phalaenopsis, I have had them abort the blooms, but I needed to save the orchid. So it didn't really matter to me. I just went ahead. Most of the orchids are potted up in moss, leca, or perlite, even orchid bark. I would say that depends on the pot that you're growing in it, the kind of orchid, and what your humidity level or your like interior space is like, right? I'm rehabbing these orchids in banana water. So that's just a banana that's set for a week in some water and closed on my kitchen shelf, and then I use it to rehydrate the orchids with nutrients. It's a great way. I put it on the leaves and then I dry the leaves off very carefully. And as you can see, this orchid is about to bloom for the second time on old flower spikes. And originally, they all had leaves like this. So if this is the way your leaves look, then you know you're on your way to root rot for sure, or stem rot. Usually stem rot and root rot go together, I have to say, because if your roots are staying in a mushy, mucky mess for too long, usually the stem is rotted too. And as you can see, this is a combination on this one. It's got some root rot and some stem rot. I did remove a lot of the root rot, but there's also, see that brown, some stem rot. And of course, the picture that you're looking at is going to be different than every single orchid, right? They're all going to have a different level of rot. But I always build these little humidity chambers, and this is more like a propagation box kept at 95% humidity. It can be cool, 71 is fine. But it doesn't necessarily need to be hot. And I find that hot is not necessarily the best. It's mostly about the humidity. Now, these are lightly put in there. And on the bottom, there is stagnant moss that is wet. The perlite is damp, but not saturated to produce the humidity. And these are just sitting on top. Now you can see my friend's orchids really went south, but the thing we wanted to see was the little tiny leaf in the center is trying to grow, and there are some new roots coming out. So I was able to remove the stem with alcohol cleaned scissors. They were pruning shears, and then I was able to remove the roots that were bad. Now this is one that has been rehabbing for 2 months, and you can see the difference. A lot of the gunk is gone, new leaves are forming. Even some of the old yucky leaves are starting to firm up. And that's from being in this kind of environment for 1 to 2 months. And that is allowing these roots, or whatever's left here, to absorb the moisture it needs from the humid air, not necessarily from sinking it in water. Now, a little side note is I do take these out. I soak them a little bit in the banana water. I wipe over the leaves to try and get the nutrients into the leaves. On some cases, I'll soak them for 20 minutes. It depends on the orchid. We don't want to continue rot, but at the same time, we do want that orchid to try and get the nutrients, especially if it's got new growth. So all kinds of orchids I have, everything from not just Phalaenopsis, but I have so many different kinds, from Cattleyas to geez, oh my gosh, I think I have 20 different kinds of orchids, right? Dendrobiums, maxillaria, bulbophyllum, so many. Essentially, they all work on the same premise, but they do require different light conditions and different ways of drying out, which has a lot to do with the medium that you put them in. So some will be in moss, some will be in a chunky mix with a lot of perlite, some will be in bark and perlite or leca. But I think a big thing about Phalaenopsis is that they don't really absorb their nutrients the way you think. They don't need to sit in water. Now, that being said, soaking an orchid for 20 minutes is just allowing the roots to pull the nutrients and absorb the water into the roots. And then after that, the roots are hydrated because it's got really nice supple leaves, right? The leaves aren't like tall and flanky or like stringy like some of the other orchids. Phalaenopsis is more succulent-like, so it's going to draw all that moisture and keep all of that retained in the leaves and in those big, big, fluffy roots. That's where you leave the orchid alone. You let it hydrate, and then you want it to dry out, because if it's sitting in water and it's already absorbed everything it's got, it's kind of like become a succulent situation where now your succulent is sitting in a wet, soppy mess, right? So if you treat your orchid kind of like a succulent where you want to hydrate it, but then you want to give it that dry out time, it's more like it is in the wild. Imagine your orchid attached to a tree underneath a nice shaded canopy. So it gets bright but filtered light, not direct sunlight, and it is got its roots just kind of attached to a tree. The bark is sometimes moist, the humidity is in the environment, so that orchid is thriving because it's got airflow around its roots. It's not like sitting in water. It's not covered in a thick, substrate. It's out there open air. And that's the big thing about Phalaenopsis, is that's the environment that it does best in. So we put them in our homes and we have like stagnant air. We don't have airflow. We don't have the right conditions for it to thrive, right? It doesn't have humidity inside a lot of times. Instead, we water it and think it's going to sit in water and be happy with that. It doesn't. Now, I have seen some people grow their orchids over a glass of water, and that has been kind of an interesting thing. Like you could do maybe attach the orchid to a terracotta pot and then sit the terracotta pot in water, or attach it to moss and sit the terracotta pot in water, let the moss, stay kind of like moist and create that biosphere of humidity. That's another cool way. Even a mounted orchid is good as long as you watch it. Now remember, a mounted orchid is going to be more in the wild, so it would depend on humidity. If you don't have humidity, you're going to have to spray it and make sure those roots do get some moisture throughout the day, but you don't want to wet the crown or wet the leaves without a lot of airflow. Also, a thing that you should note about orchids, especially moth orchids, is in the wild, they're sitting sideways, and in our homes, they're sitting right side up. So we tend to like them right side up with these leaves kind of facing the sky, but that's not the natural way that they're supposed to be. They really are supposed to be more on their side, tilted forward, with the orchid bloom hanging forward, just like it would be if the roots were mounted to a tree. So the more you can tilt it, the better the orchid is, especially like this mounted one here. And that's because if any moisture does get into the root or the base, that stem, it's going to fall out and it's going to be exposed to air and dry out. And that prevents the root rot naturally. Even if it was a misty jungle and it was getting lots of mist, lots of rain, lots of humidity, the orchids do fine because they naturally grow on their side like that. And so it doesn't puddle or pool inside the leaves. It doesn't catch anything. It rolls right off. And then the airflow, which is like a nice airflow like you see here where things are slightly moving, that amount of airflow is needed. Now, I'm not saying you should aim fans at your orchids inside your home and have it really cold on them. They don't like drafts. Think more tropical rainforest, but also not so much warmth and humidity where they can't breathe, where you're killing them with heat. That's not good also. So moth orchids are easy when you get everything dialed in right, and then you can pretty much walk away and just keep them nice and watered and making sure that they're okay with a quick check. But aside from that, you do feel like you've got daily care just because you want to get this part right. But as you can see, there will be some roots that aren't good that will die off, and maybe once a month you can go and do a nice soak on your orchid, a good cleaning of the leaves so that they're not dusty, and give it some nutrients, and then wipe over everything and then trim off some of those excess older roots that you don't need anymore. But never, ever, ever trim a green root tip or a brand new root. That is what the orchid is using now at that point to take in all of its healthy nutrients. So we want to get rid of the old, but only when it is brown, when it is dry, and no longer serving the orchid. I think that's pretty much the same across all of the orchids. I think another thing I would probably encourage you to do with your orchid too is make sure that you have one of those little meters that checks the humidity and the temperature. It will give you a nice indicator that's visual for how your orchid is surviving in its current environment. And now that you know that humidity is good for the orchid, but not like overly humid if it's in like a wet medium, and that letting the roots dry out, so it's called a wet dry type of scenario for growing orchids, where you wet it and then you let it dry out completely. That's the best thing for them, right? But then again, when the orchid is dehydrated or it's failing and it doesn't have a lot of roots and it's not able to stay hydrated, putting it in that propagation box with the high humidity, but not letting it touch anything wet is the way to get the orchid to generate new roots and allow it to make a good comeback. Now remember, if you do enclose it in one of those boxes, notice the condensation. If it forms on the plastic walls, that's what you want to look for where the humidity is high. And that's creating a perfect tropical cloud envelopment. But at the same time, you don't want fungus or any bacteria to grow, so you do want to air that out. So I would say every couple of days, open the box for 20 minutes, let it all air out, and then close it again and let the humidity build up. It's just kind of a waiting game at that point, right? You check the dampness, you check the orchid, you lightly mist with water to make sure that the orchid is staying good. Only on the green roots though, right? Not on the stem and not on the leaves, unless you have a serious airflow to dry it off or you have a paper towel to dry it off. Okay, so there's my first video on rehabbing the orchid. If you have any questions, leave it below and then I will make a follow-up video based on your questions. The supplies that I do recommend you keep on hand for all of this is sterile shears, so razor blade kind of sharp shears. You can get those at the dollar store. 70% alcohol, that's for sterilizing your tools. Ground cinnamon for the fungal powder. So when you do trim stuff off, just put some ground cinnamon on it so that it can keep it from getting bacteria in there. A coarse perlite for your propagation box to keep things sterile. And a nice just propagation box with a lid that is tall enough depending on how tall your orchids are. And you kind of want them sitting on top of something. So whether it's a terracotta pot or a little cup or something like that. I even put some damp stagnant moss in the cup, and then I put dry charcoal and dry lacquer on top of that, and I set the orchid right on there, and that allows the orchid to stay suspended with dry roots but still be able to get that humidity. And then banana peel water is great. So that's another thing I keep on hand to water my orchids. I hope you guys have a great day, and if you did like this video and if you found it helpful, please do give it a thumbs up and leave me a comment letting me know that you made it to the end. I love you so much for being here, and happy orchid growing. I'll talk to you again soon.